Hello from inside the hospital and in my unicorn onesie because it's freezing cold here. So, I know I haven't been on in a while trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about next, and I've got a couple different topics. So I may do a couple more videos over the next few days. But I wanted to start out talking about HELP. HELLP. That's what I had. That's what got us to this point right now. HELLP syndrome. It is a variant of preeclampsia. So it's basically what happens when preeclampsia or high blood pressure in pregnancy gets so bad that your body starts to shut down. HELP stands for hemolysis, which is the breakdown of red blood cells, elevated liver enzymes, and low platelets. Basically, when I got my diagnosis on July 4th, I started out at Thomas Hospital with a platelet count of close to 40,000. They did not believe my blood work at first because I was only 22 weeks, and it's kind of rare for HELP to come on that early. So they didn't believe it. So then it was down to like 35,000. And then that's when they made the call that yes, I did have HELP syndrome and I needed to be transported to USA Children and Women's because they were able to save my life and the twins' lives at 22 weeks. And by the time I got here, it was my blood count was 30,000. So I had to receive a platelet transfusion, emergency C-section, and then 2 units of blood following, whole blood following, because of the way my blood was. My blood pressure never got insanely high, like 160 over 100, which is very high for me, but obviously it doesn't happen that way all the time. Obviously it could be higher. So HELP is kind of rare, but it's crazy that it's rare because there's so many women who have it. It's estimated that 1 in 48,000 pregnant women will develop HELP every year. There's 4 million births a year estimated, so that kind of gives you a rough number of how rare but how common it is at the same time. For me, I never had preeclampsia. I never had hypertension. I had one instance early on in my pregnancy where my blood pressure was a little high and I was having a nosebleed. But it ended up that my blood pressure was high because I had checked it on my wrist with a wrist cuff, and that sometimes can read high because I went to Publix and used their blood pressure machine later on and that day, and it was normal, and my blood pressure was normal all weekend. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't really have any blood pressure issues. I had bad morning sickness early on in my pregnancy, but it kind of went away as I entered the second trimester. I guess for me, the ball started rolling the Thursday before. I actually got sick. I woke up that morning with severe pain in my right side. Like, I could barely move. I couldn't breathe hard. But luckily I had a doctor's appointment that day, so I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, I'll just mention it, at my checkup. And that'll be that. So went in, they checked my blood pressure. It was a little elevated when the nurses checked it, but I was in pain and I had just walked across a hot parking lot because it was the end of June. And So yeah, I just walked across a hot parking lot, and I was in a lot of pain. So we were just like, oh, you don't feel well and it's hot outside, and you just walked across that parking lot, so that's probably why your blood pressure's elevated. And then Dr. Shoemaker, who's not my normal doctor, came in, rechecked my blood pressure. It was normal. I was pregnant with twins, so we figured the pain was muscular, because I was stretching and growing very rapidly because I was pregnant with twins. So that started that. The pain subsided the next day, so I went back to my normal life. July 3rd, I woke up at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning vomiting bile and blood, but I was having massive nosebleeds both times, so I was like, oh, that's why there's blood in my vomit, because I am having nosebleeds. I figured I was probably just dehydrated. Basically what I'm saying is every symptom that I had was basically, it was hard to tell that I was sick, because it could have been something that was just completely normal. Nosebleeds are common in pregnant women because extra blood is, all that extra blood is going to your baby, or babies in my case, because I had twins. So 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, July 3rd, I woke up vomiting bile. Pain had come back in my side. I ignored everything, went to work. Felt fine at work the rest of the day. I actually was able to eat and everything. Woke up July 4th, still vomiting again. And I just ignored it. Okay, my morning sickness has come back with a vengeance, I have to get my Zofran refilled so I, can make it through the day. But of course it's July 4th, so I'm just gonna suffer because pharmacy's not open. Went about my normal day, had actually rescued a cat and was meeting its new owner. And then went to Ross because I was also very swollen at the time. And again, I completely ignored it because swelling is common in pregnancy, and I was having twins, so of course my symptoms were going to show up earlier. But I couldn't tie my shoes anymore. One, because my muscles hurt too bad I couldn't bend over, and two, because my feet were so swollen that I could barely tie them anyway. So we went to Ross to pick up a pair of slip-on shoes for me, and then we went to lunch at Longhorn Steakhouse, and I got a salad. Every time I'd take a couple bites, I'd have to run to the restroom. I wasn't holding down water at that point in time, so that's when Ryan, my husband, made the call. Okay, you need to call the doctor. This is bad. So I called my doctor's office. Of course, it was July 4th. But they had the answering service answer the phone, and luckily Dr. Shoemaker, again, who wasn't my normal doctor, he was the other doctor in the practice I go to. He came through, or he called me back as soon as the answering service gave him the message. He was like, "You need to go to the hospital right away. You're probably just severely dehydrated, but you don't need to be dehydrated when you're pregnant. Anyway, so just go to the hospital, get some fluids." And so went to Thomas because I was past 20 weeks. They admitted me upstairs into labor and delivery instead of the emergency room. And like I said, that's when they took me upstairs, stripped me down, put me in a gown, put the contraction stuff on me, and I started taking my blood pressure. Okay, now it's reading high consistently. Okay, let's check your blood work. Okay, I don't believe your blood work. You're too early. The HELP doesn't usually come in until later, close to the more into the third trimester, or sometimes even after. It's possible to develop HELP syndrome postpartum. So they didn't believe my blood work at first, and yeah, I was literally dying. My body was shutting down. That's why my liver enzymes were elevated. And I had no blood, basically. My red blood cells were dying. I had no platelets. So they rushed me to where I'm at currently, USA Children's and Women's, and gave me IV magnesium, which I would not wish on my worst enemy. IV mag is no fun, especially on an ambulance ride 45 minutes away. And the whole time I'm sitting in the back of the ambulance, the poor EMT is trying to tell me to calm down. And I'm like, if I get any calmer, I will be dead. Like, I was relaxed. I was scared, but there was no point in what was going to happen was going to happen. And that was that. So yeah, that's what HELLP syndrome is. You'll notice that it has HELL in it, and that's what it is. I was on blood pressure medication for a week and a half after, but it's common to be on it a lot longer. Mine resolved right away. The only way, unfortunately, to stop HELLP is to deliver, which is, they brought me here with the hopes that maybe we could save my life and keep me going a little bit longer, let them cook a little bit longer, but that wasn't God's plan, and I had to go in right away. But here we are. It's common in HELLP because your body, the woman's body, takes such a hit to develop something autoimmune later on, like lupus or fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis. Knock on wood, I have not had any issues. It resolved itself almost as quickly as it came on. But I also feel like I'm just waiting on the other shoe to drop, because I do have some lingering gallbladder pain occasionally. I have an appointment with a GI, but that's not until December. So, just living with that until I can get into the doctor. But, yeah. We have been through HELLP and back again. And it's not fun. So please, ladies, take care of yourselves. Don't ignore your symptoms just because it's better to be diligent and call the doctor for everything if you're pregnant. Because, like I said, I would not wish this on my worst enemy. It's awful. But yes, that's what HELLP is. So, I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.